is just so freaking amazing. It does everything. It's brilliant for touring, it's very comfy. It's very, very fast. It really does look the business. I bloody love it, really do. Whoa, nearly got that rabbit. Ah, you motherfuckers. Ah, this bloody spoiled my fun, didn't it? Anyway, let me tell you about this Ducati Multistrada 1200 DVT. DVT is an important part. I don't know the exact gubbins that goes on in the engine, but apparently from 2015 they did a new engine called the DVT, Desmo Valve Tronic, something like that. That's leaps and bounds above the old engine anyway. And this has got the newer engine. So as well as the newer engine, it's got all the electronics package. So it's got traction control, wheelie control, what else? ABS. It's got the, is it an IAM it's called? It's a lean sensor in it as well, so depending on how far you're leaning will determine how much into play the traction control comes and the ABS comes in. So obviously if you're leaning more, it'll probably help you out more. It's got rider modes as well, of course. So so at the moment I'm in touring mode. Now there's sports mode, touring mode, urban and enduro or off-road. I can't remember what the other one is called. But in sports mode and touring mode, you've got 160 brake horsepower. And in each one of those modes, so example, in touring mode I'm in at the moment, Ducati traction control is on 5, ABS is set to 3, and Ducati wheelie control is set to 3. Now they're changeable within each riding mode as well. But if I go to, let me just go to sport mode, so hold that down. Going to sport. Try to keep an eye on what's going on in front of me here as well. Close the gas. So now I'm in sport mode. So at the moment Ducati traction control is set to 4, ABS now is 2, and Ducati wheelie control is 2. Now of course you can turn these off completely. I'm not brave enough to really. I think I like to have that little safety net there. I'm by no means a skilled rider, and I'm definitely not a brave rider. So as soon as my front wheel comes up a little bit, I panic and just sort of ease off the throttle then straight away. But I believe with the wheelie control you can just pin it, the front wheel will raise up a little bit and you can just basically just chase the wheelie. But like I said, I'm just not brave enough to do that. Now what I have done on this bike, I've done quite a bit of touring on it. I've been all around Europe. We did 2,000, close to 2,000 miles in about 10 days 2 years ago. We went over to Germany, down to Switzerland, Italy, France, round and round the Alps a few times, did all of that, and it never missed a beat. It was just perfect, and it was lovely and comfy almost the whole way. By the last couple of days, my arse was starting to hurt because we were on the bikes every day for hundreds of miles, so my arse was starting to hurt in the last couple of days. And I did stop at a sports shop and buy a pair of cycling shorts that were nicely padded, and that sorted that out. But generally speaking, the riding position has got lovely wide bars. You sit up nice and tall. Yeah, it's cool. It's great. At the moment I've just got a little small screen on it, but I do have a taller touring screen as well, which comes up to about, I don't know, up to about there or something like that, which for most people that will deflect most of the wind. Me being 6'3", it doesn't quite deflect at all, but it's certainly good enough. I can't complain about it. Alright, let's get a bit of petrol. It's not the most economical of bikes. It's probably usually always in the high 30s, like 38, 39, around 40ish, that sort of area, just for average. Going in the long run, obviously a little bit more. If you're just constantly just ragging it, it'll be a bit less. So I've had this bike for about 3 years now, coming on for 3 years. When I bought it, I bought it as a Category N, an insurance write-off. Now Category N is a bike that's been deemed to be beyond economical repair. But all that was wrong with this bike was that handguard was broken. There was a few scuffs along here, and that's basically it. The only other thing there is a few marks there. You see a few scuffs along there, and that is it. This bike was written off because of that. I've put pictures up here of what it was like when I got it, and that's it. But she's a stunner, isn't she? And those decals, I just didn't like it was just all red, so I got those decals just to basically just to break up the red a bit. They're very easy to take off. Just heat them up with a hairdryer and take them off. Simple as that. I've put about 10,000 miles on it. The mileage now at the moment, just start her up here. The mileage is 28,558. When I got it, it was just under 20,000. So yeah, about 8,000 miles or thereabouts. There's a few other little marks. I see a couple of little marks there. I think that's just from the saddle, maybe, and maybe from my leg. And that is about it. I think there's a couple of little scratches there on the exhaust. And that really is it. Another tiny little one there. So lots of life left in the tires, lots of life left in the chain and sprockets. The brake pads are quite new on both the rear and the front. That's had new brake pads recently, so it doesn't need anything really. It's good to go. Good to go. It was last serviced about 8 months ago, 3,000 miles ago. So it's due another service in a couple of thousand miles. The Desmo service was done
at 19,000 miles, and that's not due for another 18 or 19,000 miles as well. So that's not due for quite a while. So yeah, ready to go.
So I'm in urban mode now on this. Like I said, there's 4 modes. Urban mode is the, well, does what it says in the tin really, doesn't it? It's sort of for riding around town. So in urban mode and enduro mode, the power gets reduced from 160 brake horsepower down to 120. And then the traction control and wheelie control and all those things are all adjusted accordingly as well. But for me, the great thing about urban mode, as opposed to say sport mode, urban mode is just much more refined and relaxed. The throttle is a lot smoother, the power delivery is a lot smoother. In sport mode, it's very aggressive and very snatchy, which I suppose you want for sport riding. So you want to get a move on. In urban mode, riding around town, you just want a nice smooth power delivery, and that's exactly what it does. So it's great for that. Now we've had a shower of rain, so now the bloody roads are all wet. So this bike was absolutely spotless when I came out, and it's going to be all grimy now, which is most annoying, but what can you do, eh? So like I said, this bike, it's a Cat N bike, category N, so effectively it's an insurance write-off. But I spent, the handguard was £40, genuine Ducati one. The panel I rubbed down and got all the paint myself and did all that, and did you wouldn't even know that's been painted. I think total amount of paint was probably again £30 or £40. So really I bought I got a Cat N bike, and it cost me about £80 just to fit cosmetic things. It was perfectly rideable when I got it. You could have just taken the handguard off and it was perfectly rideable. So yeah, just those couple of cosmetic things just cost 80 quid. I could get the mudguard changed and all that, but to be honest, a little mark on it, you hardly even notice it. So I've never bothered. Alright, let's go. So even now in urban mode, this thing shifts. It really shifts. But let's go back to sport mode. There we are, back in sport mode now. I can immediately notice the difference. So why am I selling this bike? Well, like I said, I've had it for 3 years. I just fancy something different, simple as that. The 3 years I've had this bike, that's the longest I've ever owned a bike, or a car for that matter. So that tells you what I think of this bike. But I've got itchy feet, I just want to try. I've got a Triumph Explorer now as well. And while the Triumph Explorer isn't as exciting as this, it's great for touring and commuting into work, all those things that I use it for 95% of the time. So I'll probably keep the Explorer for a while. And yeah, sell this. I might get another one of these sometime. definitely recommend a Ducati Multistrada. The maintenance costs on it can be a little bit pricier than some bikes, but then again, you could bring your Honda VFR down to your local Honda dealer and you have a mega big bill that's enough for a major service and that. I suppose much the same with this. The Desmo service was done in it just before I got it. It was done at an independent garage over in Cheltenham. I've got all the receipts for it, and I think it came in at, I think it was £800 for a full Desmo service. All the belts, everything that needed to be done was done. Now he didn't reset the service light, so when I started up there a little earlier, you might have seen Desmo service coming up here, because the service light wasn't reset after he serviced it. Now I don't know if because he's an independent he doesn't have the proper software or what, I don't know, but it wasn't done anyway. I've since that Desmo service was done, I've had it serviced at Blade Ducati in Abingdon, and they wouldn't turn off the service light because they said, well no, we didn't do the Desmo service, so we're not turning off the service light. Bastards. Still. So that's why the Desmo light is on, but the Desmo has been done, and I've got all the receipts for it anyway.